Welcome to the Chat Podcast. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for chat, mental health, and behind the scenes. I'm your host Matthew, and it's been a while. I'm looking in the iTunes feed at the moment, and the last episode I did was for March, so we need to talk about April, May, and June. So it might be, I don't know if that means it'll be a longer episode. I couldn't really tell you because I haven't recorded the episode yet, but let's jump to April then and talk about April itself. So with April, we were still in the middle of doing Run was on. I'm just looking at some of the things that we posted in April. Run was on, Walking Dead was still on. I think that was the month that both of those actually ended because all of that stuff's ended now. Better Call Saul, my skip review for Resident Evil 3 is in there. I remember it being a fairly good month. It's actually our second highest month. I'm just looking at the stats here because February, March, and April are our three biggest months for Entertainment Talk. Not just for this year, but for I think all time, which makes sense in a way as well because we had three big shows going at once, didn't we? We had Better Call Saul, Walking Dead, Westworld, all going at once. I can't remember which one of them ended first. Westworld was the last one to finish, I'm pretty sure, because even though it had less episodes, it started later. I think it was Better Call Saul that might have finished first, or either Walking Dead, but those were still going for those months, so that was a good month. So yeah, thank you all very much for the success of that. April was quite a good month for Entertainment Talk. It's our second biggest month, so that's really, really good as well. Not sure what else I need to say about April necessarily, but it was another good month. I wasn't going to go in depth with every single month, but those were our three biggest ones, so that was good as well. So for April, and then so the top, I'll just read the top few here. You got the homepage archives, which makes sense. Walking Dead 10:15 The Tower, that was not the season finale, that was the last episode. They still haven't made the 16th episode, and then the one after that was the episode before that, so our traffic actually went up slightly with Walking Dead, which is good. It's probably our biggest show actually, Walking Dead, and the thing is, even when Game of Thrones was on last year, and Game of Thrones is one of the biggest shows on TV, I think our Walking Dead podcast was still doing better. I'm not sure exactly what that says about our Game of Thrones podcast, but there's a lot of Game of Thrones podcasts out there as well, and I know that, of course. I think in terms of TV shows that have been covered or have podcasts, Game of Thrones is probably the one that's got the most, because it is also it's probably the biggest show in the last, I don't know, 20 years or something. Well, not 20 years. It wasn't on 20 years ago. But one of the biggest shows of its time, I think, at least. So that was pretty big. The Run miniseries preview was fourth for some reason. Not really sure why. But series preview. So that's a little bit confusing. I would have thought the season finale would have been in there. I think that ended last month, so that might be in the next month column. Skip Resident Evil 3 review, that did pretty well. That was a fairly big game, of course. Nostalgia, the 90s era of PlayStation and all that sort of stuff. So that was really good. Actually, did that game come out a bit later? I forgot. That early PlayStation sort of era. Then Better Call Saul for 509 Bad Choice Road. That wasn't the season finale, but there was a particularly big thing that happened in that episode. There was a really big talking point, so that kind of makes sense as well. So let's move off of April. That was a good one. Then we did dip a little bit in May. For some reason, the Birds of Prey review is in here. I'm not sure. Well, it wasn't posted in May. It was posted in February. But I've been promoting that for a while because people have still been talking about it. People have still been watching it and all that. So I've just continued to promote that. Westworld 308 Crisis Theory is the third one. That makes sense. Season finale again. Walking Dead UK 10:15 The Tower. So season finale again. Westworld 307. So obviously Westworld ended in May. So those are the last couple of ones for that. And then you've got the 120, the Batwoman finale, which obviously had some big talking points as well. So that's good as well. So that was a good month. We got some new subscribers on iTunes that month, and some other stuff. So yeah, May was a good month as well. I'm just trying to see when Run ended. Zoe's podcast playlist did pretty well, the season finale for that. You will always get a situation basically where your first episodes of your season, so like, hey, the new season of Walking Dead has started, or of any show, your first and your last episodes usually will be the two big ones, because you will get sometimes a little bit of a viewership or listenership. Listeners will kind of drop off in the during the season, and then they'll go, oh, wonder what they thought of the season finale, because most of the episodes I've just pointed out have been either the season finales or the episodes before that, plus of course your penultimate episode sets up your season finale, and sometimes that has a big talking point, which Better Call Saul did as well. So let's move into, yeah, I just covered May, didn't I? So that was May as well, but another good month as well. So this app has decided to glitch itself. Let me just reopen, because June has disappeared for some reason. There we go. Not sure why that happened. June 2020, obviously the month we just finished, was still a good month. I am a little bit not fearful necessarily, because there's still so much stuff we can podcast on. Honestly, I could probably write out or give a list of 30 podcasts that I could do. Now, it's not all about just shoving podcasts out the door. It is about promoting them, and obviously I've tried to be better than what I was last time. I think last time when I did the chat podcast, which is obviously for was in April but was for March, because I do it the month after, I had said about like I wasn't being as good with that, and I think it was maybe a situation where like we were covering three big shows a week. We usually did a film review up until about March per week. We did a gaming podcast, and I just sort of in a bad way, I ran out of time to like promote things. So now that things have calmed down a bit, I've sort of ended up with a bit more time to promote things, so which is always vitally important, but maybe I just got kind of caught up with certain things and that. So June was a big month, and yeah, to no surprise, Last of Us 2 review, which didn't come out until I reviewed that game 7 days after it got released, because I finished it on the Sunday. It came out Friday 19th June. I finished it on Monday, sat with the game for a while, did a gaming podcast on the Thursday, and then the next day on the Friday I did, because it was only last week, on Friday when I did that review, and within 5 days, because it's Wednesday today, obviously the day's not finished yet, but yeah, within 5 days that became our biggest video game podcast review. Not sure what that really says. I mean, obviously it's a hugely anticipated game, a huge PS4 game, and one of the biggest games of the year, but we've covered other big games in the past, Gears of War 5, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, some other stuff as well, but I'm pretty sure it's our biggest video game review that we've done. So that was good. I'm kind of surprised by the next things, but also kind of happy about them. The Reliable News website podcast that I did, and the other one, which was Say No to Clickbait podcast, actually did pretty well, but I continue to see clickbait online, and whenever I do, I put a comment in there, and I put both of those podcasts in there, because I still want to kind of fight against that in a way of like, just stop clicking on that stuff, and say no to that sort of thing. And also I wanted to use that as an opportunity to like, okay, I'm telling you to say no to this website, here's some other ones that I recommend you go and check out, and that's why I did the two separate podcasts as well. I was actually going to combine them, but then that would have sort of muddled the message a bit maybe, but no, that's sort of why I wanted to do that sort of stuff. But no, glad to see that they're doing well, and I will continue to share them for as long as clickbait continues to happen, which will probably be the rest of my life. Not to sound dramatic, but probably will be. I'm quite happy about the next one, which is Zoe's podcast playlist, season 1 episode 12, the season finale. Glad that did well. I have noticed since the show has finished its season finale, more people have been talking about it, whether that's because obviously the season finale's got some big talking points in that, and it encourages people to talk about it more. Nonetheless, I'm happy that the podcast was more successful towards the end. Again, like I've said, a theme throughout this whole thing, your season finale podcasts are going to be your bigger ones, and that sort of thing, and yeah, so The next one is the CW Superheroes The Flash finale. I do know that the Black Lightning podcast did pretty well, the season 3 review I did, but glad again another season finale, like sticking with the theme of that. So it's quite likely that when you listen to me read these out, I'm going to point out a lot of season finale podcasts, but then also things like Last of Us 2 review and Resident Evil review and some other stuff like that. So June was another good one as well. It's been relatively good on the Castos podcast side of things. That's of course the separate iTunes numbers. That's where someone listens to. Well, it's both for the website listens and for people that listen through iTunes. It all goes through that. That's been quite good as well. And I'm thankful to those who've listened through either, on the iTunes feeds or the website and that sort of thing. I did have a glance yesterday at the top 10 podcast. It's pretty much the same. Nothing can seem to get near The Witcher, which I've been thinking about that a little bit more recently. Okay, brilliant. It's brilliant that our Witcher podcast was so successful, and I put a lot of, I put the whole day basically into doing that on the whatever the date was on the Friday, 20th of December, something like that. It was right around Christmas, wasn't it? I'm really glad that I put in that whole day, and it feels like it was worth the fast kind of binge I did there, because the numbers are so good on that podcast, and that sort of stuff. But I kind of look at the Witcher podcast and think, I don't really know. I mean, it was a big show, but it's kind of hard to gauge how many people watched that show. A lot of people clearly did, but was it like Game of Thrones big, or was it like Walking Dead now kind of big, where it's was it like a few million, or like in the tens of millions? So was it like 2 or 3 million, or are we talking 10, 20 million? I can't remember seeing specific numbers on The Witcher for Netflix. Obviously, streaming services like Netflix are a little bit more cagey with some of their numbers. They don't really release things, whereas with like TV ratings, you can just go and look them up basically, because they get reported on. I look at that situation with The Witcher and I think, okay, how can I make that happen again, but on some of our other shows, or all of them would be great. And I still haven't really worked it out. It's a really, really good thing that podcast was so successful, obviously, and I will be doing the second season maybe next year. I don't know when that's going to be. Obviously, they can't film it at the moment, can they? It's definitely not going to be this year, and it will. I think at earliest it will be December 2021. If not, I think it will be early 2022. But yeah, I just look at that podcast and think okay, that did so well, and the other podcasts do really, really well as well, like the ones I've just put out, The Walking Dead and Better Call Saul and Westworld and Zoe's Playlist and some of my game reviews, Resident Evil, Last of Us. But they don't seem to get up there, and I sort of look at The Witcher and think okay, how you got the people that played the game that are gonna like the series, people that like Henry Cavill. Obviously, he's got the eye candy factor towards him. He might still be Superman. Nobody really knows, but he at least was Superman in 3 films. Yeah, Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League, and of course Snyder Cut next year. So obviously he's got that going for him, and people really loved him as Superman. Henry Cavill himself is a great guy. Netflix is obviously a big platform, and you kind of put all those things together and you think okay, it makes sense. I do kind of wonder as well, with certain people that thought I want him back as Superman, I'm not going to watch this The Witcher show or whatever. But I would kind of assume that the people that really loved him as Superman would be okay, I'm a big Henry Cavill fan, I'm gonna check this show out. You've got the other aspect as well, that Superman and The Witcher is entirely different for genre. Plus you've got the switch from film to TV, which is a bit of a change. But yeah, I sometimes I kind of just think about what The Witcher is, the factors there. Henry Cavill, Witcher, Netflix. You've got the people that played the game. There's people that people that are very attracted to Henry and will just watch him in any role, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, how can I kind of put that success on our other shows? The other shows do really, really well. Maybe this is one of them things where I don't know, The Witcher's bigger than certain other shows. I'm not saying that after 8 episodes that The Witcher's bigger than The Walking Dead, which has been around for 10 seasons. But yeah. But if anybody's got any insight, any ideas as to why that might be, or how I can kind of push that on to some of the other shows, I'll be very, very grateful. Let me know why you think it was such a success, and all that kind of stuff. I'm really glad as well that with that podcast particularly, because some people might like ignore the season or ignore the podcast and then listen to the 7 and 8 review, the last 2 episodes for the season finale, and as I've just discussed in this podcast as well, the 101 and 102, which is the first one, and the 107 and 108, which is the last one, those are the 2 highest. But I knew that was going to be the case going in. Even though I know I'd kind of said to people like, okay, watch the first 2 episodes, podcast next to, etc, etc, and the others do really, really well. But I even with like me kind of explaining what the plan would be and that sort of thing, I knew that the first one and the last one would be the most listened to, and that's fine because I knew that going in, and it gives those 2 podcasts quite a success. But yeah, I'm just it's a good thing to think about, I think, because it's something very positive in terms of it's our biggest podcast, and how do I take what was there? Is it like the bit, because that's the first time I've ever tried like a binge style thing, like an all-day binge thing where I watched the episodes, watched them podcast. Obviously I took breaks to eat and do other stuff and that, but maybe it's that as well. I don't really know. There's a few factors to consider, but it's certainly something I think I need to keep my eye on, and I'll be very, very interested when season 2 does roll around next year or the year after, how that kind of plays out as well. So but I need to think positively, and that's certainly a positive thing to think about. So alright, let's take a quick break. We'll get into some other stuff, some more personal stuff, or some behind the scenes stuff as well, and we will continue from there. So I'll see you for that in a minute.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Donnie, and I host the Adulting with Donnie podcast. And this is not the show to listen to if you're trying to be a better adult. I started this podcast as a way to offload some thoughts that I have throughout the week. My topics vary widely every week. Movies I've seen, guns and gun control, sex, people that are stupid, why I don't care about celebrity opinions, TV shows, snowmobiling. The list goes on and on. I'm always taking topic suggestions from fans of the show too. So join me each week on Adulting with Donnie as I pour some bourbon and allow you to see the inner workings of the mind of a madman. Live free and rant hard.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
Today's sponsor is Kualu. If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Kualu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Kualu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Alright, so recently on Entertainment Talk, Classic Review Season 4 is continuing as of today. Season 4, Episode 4 for Batman Forever. No, Jim Carrey did not play as the Batman in that film, but he did play as the Riddler in that film, so I thought that would be a good one to pick from. That's Val Kilmer's Batman film as well. So that was really, really good as well. So I enjoyed that, and you could listen to the episodes for that as well. Gaming Talk this week, lots of rumour mill stuff, so take take some of the stuff that we discussed with a pinch of salt, or whatever the phrase is going to be. But there's been rumours, of course, for a long time about the Batman game, the Suicide Squad game, and the Harry Potter game from Warner Brothers. So we talked about a bunch of Warner Brothers game stuff. There's some really weird stuff happening with Twitch. Dr. Disrespect was banned, and there's, all sorts of weird things happening with Twitch as well. And we discussed a bunch of other stuff as well, such as the PS Plus and Games with Gold games for July, which you'll be able to download very, very soon, so have a look out for those. Did a podcast announcement yesterday talking about the Instant Podcast, which is going to be rolling out from next week. I'm not going to explain anything here because I did a 10-minute podcast explaining what it is, how you can get it, and everything else about that, and how that's going to kind of run going forward, so you can look for that as well. Let's Play Sundays for The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners VR, which is a Walking Dead VR game. My Last of Us 2 review, of course, don't skip Last of Us Part 2, Something Special. A 23-minute spoiler part, adding up to a 52-minute podcast, with the rest of it being for spoilers. But there is a 23-minute spoiler-free section at the start, which you can listen to. I give a clear spoiler warning, and then that's where you can switch the podcast off if you haven't played the game. So you can have a look at that as well. Quibi streaming service review. I did that, so I reviewed the new Quibi streaming service, which is on phones and tablets and whatnot. Random Gaming Talk last week, we talked about Crash Bandicoot 4 announcement. Cyberpunk 2077 had a presentation, and The Last of Us 2 as well. And Man United are back. I'm going to be doing a new podcast today as well for that, so have a look out for that as well. But that's what we've been doing on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. So next thing I wanted to talk about was maybe some plans going forward, some behind the scenes stuff. I do want to talk about the coronavirus a little bit, not death count or virus count or infection rate count or any of that sort of stuff. You can watch your local news for that sort of stuff. Plus they'll have it covered better or whatever. But yeah, it's nothing's been filming for a long time. There's still been TV coming out. There's going to be some stuff coming out in July. There's going to be the Umbrella Academy. Good Girl Season 3 is going to be coming out, so I'm going to be reviewing both of those. One of these situations we're in at the moment is, apart from Star Trek Discovery Season 3, which I don't know when that's supposed to be coming out, and the 16th episode of Walking Dead, which we don't know when that's going to be coming back, because obviously, of course, all the virus stuff. They haven't been able to film season 11, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. There isn't any other of the shows that we currently cover, apart from the Legends finale tomorrow. There isn't any other shows we cover which are coming back for a while, I think, because the DC shows are all finished. They'll be back in January possibly. Walking Dead has got its 16th episode to do some work for, and then we'll see what's going to happen with season 11. Better Call Saul and Westworld just finished, so they're not going to be back for a long time. Star Trek Discovery, I believe, was filmed for its third season. They're working on the rest of it, I assume from home or whatever. They haven't given a date for that. But yeah, apart from American Horror Story might be given something in September, maybe, because they obviously planned the American Horror Stories thing. In terms of my coverage for that, I want to see a trailer first, or what that's going to be like, but that's a possibility that I cover that. But yeah, Witcher isn't going to be this year. Game of Thrones is finished. I can't think of any other shows that we particularly cover. We just did 3 really big shows as well: Walking Dead, Westworld, Better Call Saul, which won't be back for a little bit of time. Because the usual schedule would pretty much have been, get to September, American Horror Story comes back, I would have made a decision about the next season, depending on what it would have been about. October would have been, the DC shows come back, Walking Dead comes back, and at some point Star Trek was always due to come back this year anyway. I kind of thought Star Trek would have already started by now, but it hasn't. Plus, at the start of the year, we kind of anticipated that, okay, it's going to be Better Call Saul and maybe Walking Dead at the same time, and then once the other one finishes, Westworld's going to start. Because I thought at this point in the year that Westworld would be on, but it decided to come back a little bit earlier, which is something as well, I suppose. But yeah, there's no other shows, because Good Place is finished and all that. I'm just thinking of the other shows that we cover. Let's just look at my iTunes feeds. We obviously do TV talks and things like that. I'm just going to look at the other iTunes feeds. 24, well, that's nowhere to be seen. Better Call Saul's just finished. Cosmic Reviews is still going, obviously, but that's a scheduled. Cosmic Reviews is up to me when that comes back. CW Superheroes, they've all basically finished now for the seasons. True Detective, we don't even know about season 4. Star Trek, I'm just scrolling down my iTunes feeds. Star Trek, we don't know about that. Film reviews is obviously a big thing that we haven't known about for a little bit of time. There's obviously films that are due to come out, like Quiet Place 2, Tenet, whatever it's called, the Christopher Nolan film. There's like the Mulan live action remake. There is New Mutants. Hopefully that comes out one day, and we can all see if that's actually any good or not. So we don't know about that. Video game reviews, I've just did Last of Us 2, and obviously Resident Evil was a few months ago. TV talk stuff. Let's just look down the rest of them. Game of Thrones is finished. Westworld's finished its new season. iZombie finished a couple of years ago. American Horror Story. Yeah, that was possibly going to come back in September. So the next possibility of shows is American Horror Story, either with its 10th season, season 10, or this American Horror Stories thing, whatever that's supposed to be. But yeah, that's the, and then Star Trek Discovery is possibly what's coming up for September, but July, August, September. It could be like in 2 weeks as far as we know. Because Star Trek to me really could be at any time. So, and that's going to be, I think that's 13 episodes for the next season. So that's going to give us a lot of content as well. Chat Podcast is monthly. Good Place is finished. United Cast, obviously football's come back, so that's another thing that we're doing at the moment. Walking Dead's basically finished for its season, because even if Walking Dead had its 16th episode, we still wouldn't have been due season 11 until October, which hasn't been filming, so that won't be back in October. The Witcher is obviously not coming back probably this year, very, very unlikely back this year. Watchmen was a one and done season, so there's a couple of things in there. It's mainly okay. When are films going to be safe to see again? When is Star Trek coming back? And when is American Horror Story doing whatever they're going to do with the next season? Those are the next kind of things to look forward to. The next big things in entertainment talk to look forward to. Now, the unfortunate thing is none of those things really are as big as Westworld, Better Call Saul, Walking Dead, which is why I kind of would have preferred if Westworld was later. I mean, it would be what I would have completely preferred is, of course, we have no control over this at all, is if Walking Dead had aired and then they did maybe a promo on AMC for Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul then does it next season. It's the season it just did. That then finishes, and then that then goes into Westworld. That's what I would have preferred, but of course we had 3 of them at once. Not all at the exact same time, but they overlapped and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of the case that like the big TV stuff has already happened this year. Apart from like, Netflix shows and Amazon shows and whatever else, I'm still looking forward to a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much the case. Because I kind of thought yesterday, like, the podcast plans that I do, so like fall, autumn plans, and then the spring plans, should I do one for the summer? But I mean, that's pretty much is our full summer plans as well, and I'll probably put that in the title as well. But yeah, that's the next things that are coming up, but we don't know when those things are going to be, because obviously there's so much uncertainty with the coronavirus and that, and yeah, so. And then we're supposed to have Mandalorian Season 2 back in October. We'll probably do something for that as well. So, yeah, that's kind of what you can expect to look forward to in the next couple of months. Something from American Horror Story, Star Trek Discovery Season 3 at some point. Films, some point, is supposed to be... Tenet got pushed back again, I think. I can't remember the date for that. Quiet Place 2 is supposed to be out in September, but we'll see. Of course, we just started July, so I don't really know. Gaming Talk, we're still going to do it every week. There's still some big video game stuff happening at the moment, actually. We just had Last of Us 2, Crash Bandicoot 4 was announced, Cyberpunk 2077 had a presentation, and there's been a whole bunch of other stuff for games as well, like this Warner Brothers stuff. There's supposed to be this DC thing happening in August. Maybe the Batman game will get announced, so... Yeah, there's still stuff happening. There's still going to be, Hannah Season 2 comes out pretty soon. I'm going to be doing a review for that. So there'll be some season reviews of things as well. And then hopefully I'll get back on top of doing the chat podcast once a month. For the football side of things as well, there's going to be this current season, which I think there's like 6 games left. That's going to roll right into next season, like literally the next week that it finishes. So basically the 1920 season is going to roll straight into the 2021 season. So football's going to be here for a while, the coverage of that, unless something happens with the virus and whatnot. But we shall see, because I think the players are getting tested twice a week or something like that as well. So that's pretty much your update on what's going on with Entertainment Talk in the future. Like I said, so we shall see. And like I said, if it's anything that catches my eye particularly, and it's a weekly series, and I feel like I want to give full coverage to it, or something that's going to return with a date that we don't know about yet, I'll consider whatever that's going to be as well. But that's a bit more the hypothetical sort of situation. So we shall see. Of course, if you guys have any suggestions, thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, whatever about anything to do with Entertainment Talk, Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page and information in your show notes as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything we have to discuss. Things are slightly quieter than what they were a couple of months ago, but there's still plenty of stuff for us to do. Plus, me and Robert have got a couple of podcast plans for the next couple of months. There's some stuff we're going to do literally within the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll see where that kind of takes us. So there we go. Also, don't forget to join our Discord channel as well. I have put out an open invitation on Twitter and Facebook. Of course, eTalk UK for Twitter and all that sort of stuff, and Entertainment Talk for Facebook as well. If you can't find it, you can just ask me, and I'll be happy to send you a link to the Discord stuff. But speaking of supporting Entertainment Talk and the podcast, you can of course find everything on entertainmenttalk.org. If you'd like to support the podcast and support Entertainment Talk, we are on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers. Don't forget, next week the Instant Podcast is going to start rolling out, and you can join the Discord and all that sort of stuff as well, and the Facebook group and all that sort of thing. Amazon affiliate link. If you're buying stuff on Amazon, we can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds, please rate, review and subscribe to those. Apologies, by the way, for there was a mix-up with the Cast Us account on iTunes. It's been sorted out now, and all of the feeds should be up to date. Of course, if they're not, you can let me know and I will look into that and whatnot, but it's been pretty much sorted, at least from what I can see on my end. Things look a lot properly updated, let's just say that, I suppose. So there we go. Social media, of course, you can share them on Facebook and Twitter, and if you can, in different Facebook groups. Tell people that you know about the website and the iTunes feeds and the Discord server and all that sort of stuff. That will really help us out. For other people as well, David is, of course, on geektown.co.uk for your up-to-date, reliable TV and film news. If you want that in weekly podcast format, Geektown Radio on Tuesdays. There was a new episode yesterday, so go and have a look out for that as well. He'll give you more updates for how the coronavirus is affecting TV and film and all that sort of thing. So you can look out for that. Bex is on Twitch. She streams very regularly, so go and follow her over there and you'll be notified when she goes live. That is Trista Bytes, B-Y-T-E-S, so Trista and then Bytes, B-Y-T-E-S. Go and check her out over there. Me and David sometimes stream on Twitch as well, so you can have a look out for those, and look out for Let's Play Sundays. Thank you all very much for listening, and I'll see you either next time or next month or sometime soon. See you next time. Goodbye.